Hello, trendsetters and innovators. This is Etienne, and I welcome you back for our next video interview. As some of you may have heard, we're currently organizing the Big Reset online conference, which goes under the motto From Crisis Mode to Entrepreneurial Mindset. For 4 days in 4 major tracks, we will discuss and explore innovation opportunities for Bulgaria in the region. And one of our main topics is the future development of our country's startup ecosystem. Therefore, today we have invited a very special guest in the face of Janet Todorova, someone with great contributions to that area. Janet was a co-director at the Berlin chapter of Founder Institute's Pre-Seed Accelerator for 3 years, as well as an active part of the German tech community. However, in 2017, she moved back to Bulgaria with a mission to develop the local startup ecosystem. She joined the Sofia team, a Founder Institute, and ultimately played a very important role in making our capital city home to the first Founder Institute headquarters outside of Silicon Valley. In the meantime, Janet also worked as a product manager in the fintech sector and co-organized two of the biggest tech conferences in Sofia, DigitalK and React.NotAConf. Last but not least, she's also mentored Teenovator, a program that helps teenagers develop a startup project as well as an entrepreneurial mindset. So, hi Janet, thank you for joining us. How are you doing? Where do we find you?
Hi, that was a very detailed introduction. Thank you for doing the research and the effort. I'm at home here in Sofia, and I would like to very much thank you for the invitation and also for the great job that Trending Topic is doing for the whole ecosystem, covering all the stories and bringing us together now for this great initiative.
Let's start with a little time traveling. You were a part of the booming startup ecosystem in Berlin. Why did you decide to come back to Bulgaria and help with the development of local innovation?
It's always a mix of reasons. So first, I think the major reason that brought me back was like, as a personality type, I'm a person who likes to be involved in things early in the days. So being part of the Berlin startup scene actually made me feel like a drop in the ocean. You had so many actors over there, so many different acceleration programs. I was a part of the team running the Berlin accelerator of the Founder Institute, and we were just another program, probably the best one, but still. And then comparing this to the Sofia ecosystem, which is kind of close to my heart, I saw that with same amount of effort, I could bring much more impact and make a difference. And I guess that was one of the main reasons that I decided to come back. Of course, another thing I want to mention is that the quality of life in Sofia is much better than in Berlin. Like small things that I would never imagine influence my decisions, such as weather, food, water, these kind of things, access to mountains and sea. So if we bring more talented people in Sofia, actually we can make a very nice environment to work on the things that we enjoy and in the same time have a nice lifestyle.
Is it talent the main thing that the Bulgarian startup ecosystem is currently missing, or is it something else? Like we need more international connections or to develop the culture around here?
The topic of ecosystems was very interesting for me always, and I've read a little bit of research about how to build great ecosystems, what are the brightest people around the world thinking about this. And actually a common pattern that everyone notices for the places that were established as important ecosystems is always this concentration of talent. So Bulgaria itself has great talent, especially on the technical side. So that was one of the major differences I noticed between Berlin and Sofia. We have great technical talent here, not so much of sales and kind of business skills. And it was exactly the opposite in Berlin. But definitely going back to the topic of talent, Bulgaria is a country full of talented people, but we need more. And I think we need more in terms of like people with different perspectives, with different backgrounds. And I think one important next step is to make this ecosystem even more international. We see a lot of international people already coming to Sofia, choosing this place to start their businesses, which is great. And it's already happening for the last, I don't know, at least 5-6 years. But I think we need more. We need like 50% of all founders should be foreigners here.
You're familiar with the startup ecosystems in several very different locations and realities, like Bulgaria, USA, Germany. How are, like, I don't know, the founders' journeys from seed to the growth stage different in each of these countries? Like, strategically speaking, what should you keep in mind and do differently if you're a founder in Bulgaria compared to, let's say, Silicon Valley?
So my job actually right now at FI is head of expansion. So basically I have to open new chapters of our accelerator globally. So I work with countries and founders from all over the world. So I can definitely say that the challenges that founders have in the early days of building a company are pretty similar all over the world. That's actually something kind of surprising, but again, not so much. And this is actually why our program is exactly the same. The curriculum of the Founder Institute, the materials that we share are exactly the same in Kabul, Afghanistan, and in Silicon Valley, and it works. So on one hand, you have these steps you need to take in order to build a company that are pretty similar. Like you need a legal entity, you need to figure out the equity, you need to find your name, you need to find your business model. So of course there are some differences, but in the end of the day, the recipe is kind of similar. So that's on the side of similarities. However, I notice a few differences, and it's mainly around the problems that the founders are choosing to work on. So for example, when I speak to people from Africa, they usually kind of address problems they have in their daily life that a European would never imagine. Like my mom is cooking on this stove and there is like this smoke and it's poisonous and things like we are not really concerned with around here. So that's one difference in the types of ideas that are solving local problems. But essentially this is again similarity because every founder is solving something that is kind of concerning them.
Founder Institute will probably play an important role in the development of post-COVID-19 startups, but what new solutions do you think humans and businesses actually need for this post-COVID-19 world? Like, what is a product that would make your life better and you would pay for it, but it doesn't exist yet?
So generally, if we speak about different domains, right now, I believe there's going to be a great focus on health tech solutions, sanitation. We're going to enter a world that is going to be a little bit different in terms of like social distancing, procedures, how to inhabit offices and restaurants and bars and all sorts of public places. So there's going to be a hype around this. The other domain is jobs in general. I guess that's pretty obvious right now. Almost all over the world, people are working from home. Suddenly, all the meetings are happening on Zoom, or some of them are canceled and just there is an email that is solving everything. So this kind of work culture is changing. We would need more tools. I guess one thing that people will be missing is this face-to-face interaction. So probably there will be some kind of VR, AR solutions for that. Who knows what? And I think these are the most obvious ones. But I'm pretty sure that being kind of subject to this major change in our lives will kind of change our value systems as human beings, our priorities, even what are the most important things in our life. I really hope and I believe we will care much more about our environment and we'll become more friendly to nature. So I'm guessing there will be a lot of startups in this area. So yeah, I don't think that's the other things I think will be difficult to predict right now. These are the most obvious ones.
And as you're a part of a few startup ecosystems, like, do you have a favorite example of a great startup pivot during the past few months?
I don't know. I don't think I have a favorite pivot. But maybe I can share a few words about how FI pivoted, because it was really kind of educational for me to be from the inside of an organization and observe the whole pivot thing, especially a Silicon Valley organization that has this mindset of like move fast, adapt quickly to changes and so on. So for those who don't know, basically our accelerator programs are basically face-to-face programs all over the world. In just February, we were, gathering people together, doing networking events. We were the major, the largest user of Meetup.com globally, because we are opening these groups on Meetup.com for every new location we open. So imagine like how many events we run on a weekly basis, and then suddenly public events were kind of banned and people started worrying about socializing. And then this suddenly hit our business model, because we basically bring our cohorts of founders together by first bringing them together at public events where we introduce our program and so on. So this was a major hit, especially when suddenly country by country, our local leader chapters, the directors are just messaging us, hey guys, we have to cancel all the events, everything is closing down and so on. First of all, we had to change our strategy, how to recruit overnight. The other thing is that we actually had a lot of tools and features in our system in place that were kind of designed for an acceleration program that was happening in real life. And basically what we had to do is like make some quick decisions. And then there were a couple of weeks at our office that like nobody was sleeping, especially the developers. Like so many new features need to suddenly appear on our platform. So many tools and requirements that we just realized on the go. A lot of communication need to kind of happen to make sure that everyone is safe, because we feel responsible for all these people who attend our events. Like if somebody gets, affected by COVID-19, that will be on us and on our brand. So I was super impressed by this kind of joint effort that happened inside our organization. And today, all our programs are running virtually. We have set up trainings, onboardings for all the local leaders globally. This is around 400 people that are running chapters to kind of help them transition to the virtual reality. We have set up Zoom accounts for everyone, trainings like scheduling, who enters which room when. We are organizing global webinars to kind of substitute these local meetings that we were organizing. And yeah, it was just impressive.
I read about that virtual accelerators you're starting. Like, are you still planning to have the separate chapters, or how did? Can you tell us a bit more how did it all work?
We still have chapters organized around cities, and we kind of believe that this is super important in the early stage of a company, because you need this support network that is local. So let's say if you're a startup coming from Sofia, your problems are probably problems that a Silicon Valley mentor cannot relate to and cannot give you advice. Like, where do I get my co-founders? How do I get a freelance developer to prototype something quickly for me? So we still believe that there is value in the local networks. That's why we're keeping those chapters and the local relationships with mentors and advisors and partners in the community. So right now, of course, it makes sense to open the applications of our program to, let's say, to a regional level. So for example, in Sofia, you know that visiting a chapter was like running after work hours to attend a session. And of course, if you live in Plovdiv or in Ruse or Varna, you're not able to attend one of our sessions. But the problems that you have as a founder are pretty similar to the problems that the founders in Sofia have. So right now, it probably makes sense, and we're working on it, to open the applications, let's say, on a regional level, so that we can enable people, let's say, from countries to enroll in the same chapter, as long as there are similarities. We have countries like India, where we still believe that at least it makes sense to have 3-4 programs that are covering different hubs like Bangalore, Mumbai, New Delhi. So, or Brazil is another example. Over there we have, I think, around 12 cities, and it makes sense to keep them separately.
From the times I was a part of FI's program in Sofia, I remember you always had great tips for founders. And right now, I think the biggest challenge for many is like resilience, especially for young or first-time entrepreneurs. Do you have any tips for building personal entrepreneurial resilience and developing a mindset for overcoming challenges?
I really like this question because actually I think the answer is super simple. An entrepreneur is someone who is risk taker. So this is a kind of a special breed of people. I think it doesn't matter what's the reality right now. The entrepreneur is someone who is like, you know, going out there, hustling, talking to people, making mistakes, not being afraid, you know, to promise something that is not there yet. And it's just another set of variables right now that we're dealing with, but the skills are exactly the same. So this exploration that the founder needs to do in the very early days of starting a business, the mindset and the approach is exactly the same. So I think we all know this mantra, like, don't be afraid to make mistakes, or like, don't point fingers at people who failed the company or bankrupted or owe money to other people. This is actually a positive thing. This is a learning lesson that if we were kind of a society that would kind of understand the values out of this and be more supportive, I would think this would encourage more people to feel more comfortable to take these steps. And we need this entrepreneurial mindset because this is the kind of the spark that drives, you know, the whole humanity to solve our problems, to think of better ways to live. So I think in terms of resilience, yeah, just to be more specific, I think we have to pay more attention on our well-being as individuals, on our relationships as individuals, to be good people, to have good relationships with our co-founders, our families, our friends. Just try to be good to people, and this will pay back.
One maybe final question. If you were to summarize your vision and intended contribution for the creation of positive change in Bulgaria in the region, like we're talking about one statement that would start with, I will. It could be, I will help Bulgaria send a rocket to Mars. Like, think of anything that like you feel as a personal mission.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so thanks for the question. I believe that every one of us, every day individually, with our small decisions and steps and behaviors, are kind of contributing to a certain direction. So it doesn't matter if you're one individual and you almost have no impact. It's still important to keep doing the things you believe you're doing. So me personally, going back to actually the beginning of our conversation, I really believe in this component of bringing more talent here to make things happen. You know, there was a TED Talk years ago that I really liked, and like, I think that the title was like, how does innovation happen? And basically the speaker said, innovation is when ideas have sex. So bring people together that have ideas and it will just naturally happen. So if we have a larger concentration of people, this will inevitably start the process. So in practical terms, I think what I'm able to do right now is continue building bridges. So it's not only about bridges between the different stakeholders in our ecosystem here, but also, let's say, Romania, Greece, Macedonia. We are a region here that is full of bright, talented people. So if we kind of, you know, mingle together, something good will come out of it. And then then the next step would be like Europe, Middle East, Asia, and like if we somehow enable all these connections, the rest will follow. I'm pretty convinced.
I think this is a very inspirational message to finish on. Thank you once more for joining us, and I hope you stay healthy and help many other founders develop their ideas and build lots of bridges.
Great, thank you very much. It was a pleasure. I wish you a nice day and stay safe.